been set on the stage tonight from the two Lukes, who are now both on 15 points in this Premier League campaign. But Humphries, after losing his second consecutive quarter-final, he will not be adding to that tonight.
No, absolutely. It was a fantastic start to the evening, as you said, and it kind of raises our expectations very early on. But to be fair, but when these two meet on the Oki, you don't expect anything less. But will be disappointing for Luke Humphries, especially because it's now back-to-back quarter-final losses. When up to that point, he'd been in and amongst the winner's circle.
He's going to go to Cardiff next week. He's going to try and get back on the horse, but it's still a very comfortable position he finds himself in. He's not going to be caught by Aspinall from third position because he's 7 points ahead of him. Even if Aspinall goes on to win tonight, he's still going to be in at least second place. But is it simplistic to look at that first game and say that Humphries wasn't as good on the doubles, conversion-wise, because they both had 13 shots. Littler hit 6 and Humphries hit 4. Is it that simple?
These are the fine margins now that you're talking about when you're talking about this level of player. It is those small fine margins, and if you can perfect them. I mean, for me, the forward management of both players is excellent, but Luke Littler just he's planning from that very first start where he's going for the rest of the match, and I just think more players need to look at it. And yeah, if you do miss, especially timing, we mentioned timing all the time, if you miss at the wrong time and you leave the door open for one of the players, then they're going to take it.
7-1 in the Premier League for Littler over Humphries. Do we read anything into that?
I mean, you can do it. I mean, they've just had so many battles. I just think Luke Humphries sometimes is just a little bit too slow to get off the mark. He wasn't today, but he has been, and that leaves him slightly vulnerable sometimes. But between the pair of them, you wouldn't be surprised if either of them, if Luke Humphries starts levelling up the balance.
It's time for Chris Dobey up against Rob Cross, and when these two meet, we are almost guaranteed massive numbers. We will get into that, but here comes a man who is going to grace the Nottingham stage for the second time in his career, ahead of a trip to Wembley this Sunday, where he sees his beloved Newcastle United take on Liverpool for the Carabao Cup. Now here comes Hollywood, trying to do well in Nottingham for the second time in his career. Years ago when he was in the Premier League, he made the final in Nottingham, losing out to the Iceman Gerwyn Price. So when he's coming back to this arena, Laura, is he thinking good memories of this place because I've been to the final match?
Yeah, I think so, and I do think that the players do get that good feeling normally based on results that they've had previously. I mean, but we keep talking about Bunting in the fact that he hasn't picked up any points, but you've got to remember the only points that Chris Dobey picked up was in that very first week. He's lost all the consecutive quarters.
Rob Cross has a slightly better position in this table and maybe a tiny bit more confidence than Doby, but it's marginal. And here comes a man with a new walk-on song this year. Still don't think it's right for him. It just doesn't sing Rob Cross to me. But he's on a journey to that right song. This is the one he's got right now. In his usual electric blue and black, a winner on the tour a couple of times this year, Players Championship event and the World Series event. The next thing to tick off his list is a Premier League nightly win, and that would do his playoff chances the world of good at this point in time. He's got his good friend Jim Walker in the crowd and his wife Georgia. He's wondering where all of his other friends are in the crowd as well, Lord. He's got plenty as Bobby Cross.
Yeah, he is one of those people, isn't he? Very sociable, is Rob Cross. You mentioned hasn't had a weekly win, hasn't made a final yet so far in this Premier League. Seen him in 3 semis, out a couple of times in the quarterfinals, but I think last week more than any other week, because of how well he was playing, will probably be the most disappointing one. It was the biggest reaction I'd seen from him in a while because of how he played and still lost.
One thing we've learned from Brighton is that hitting a 9-darter is no guarantee of success. You know that more than anybody, Laura. You were there last week. Now, it'd be interesting to see if anybody else dips their bread in the old 9-dart gravy. Now, Doby would love to get a 9-darter on the Premier League stage, but can you imagine if he hit one in Newcastle? That place would go bananas.
Yeah, that's the venue you want to get it. But let's be honest, you know, with the prize up for grabs as well, with the golden darts, the £30,000 they got golden darts, I think everyone's going to want a couple of them.
Here's the thing, a lot of people tend to forget, last week was Rob Cross's pretty much home game. Whereas he does live in Lincolnshire now, he is an East Sussex boy. He played in Sussex last week. This is now a game against someone who he's had fabulous matches with before, but on neutral territory here. We didn't hear any booing on the walk-ons because we didn't have anybody walking out with a Leeds soundtrack song. But the biggest thing about this for me is that when Chris, 34-year-old from Bedlington, when he takes on Rob Cross, he can beat Rob no matter what he throws at him. Because 3 times now, Rob Cross has lost to Chris Dobey, averaging more than 111. That gets your attention. They're both the same age. They've had brilliant careers to now. Obviously, Cross has got a little bit more in his locker. But when these two meet, they can do almost anything.
Yeah, I agree, and I think perhaps those big averages, Chris Dobey, probably still reeling from a couple of the comebacks that he's had to suffer at the hands of Rob Cross. You got the World Championships most recently, where Doby was 4-0 up and lost 5-4. But the one that lives in my memory, probably because I saw Chris Dobey the next day, is the one at the match play. Absolutely flying, and Rob Cross just dug his heels in.
And speaking of comebacks, Chris Dobey in Belgium last week was on Dream Street against Dirk van Dijvenbode of the Netherlands. Proceeded to miss quite a few match darts and ended up losing in round 2, just like Rob Cross did to Ross Smith by 6 legs to 2. So no success on the European Tour on Saturday for these guys. Now they turn their attention back to the Premier League to get to the semi-finals to take on a certain Luke Littler. And an opening 180 from Doby to leave himself on 225 after 6, a buoyant start.
And what we've come to expect, Chris Dobey, one of the bigger 180 hitters that we have here at the Premier League. They can all hit them, we know, but Doby is quite synonymous for the big scoring now.
Have you noticed this season that Rob is getting more 180s than usual? Something has clicked in that department for Cross. And I think he's recognised that if you're going to stay with the Humphries and Littlers and the Prices of this world, you're going to have to be a big 180 hitter, and his grouping has improved this year. Doby's on 131, Cross on 144. First leg of the contest, 51 hit from Doby. What for tops? That's an interesting play with your opponent back on 144.
Yeah, absolutely, and it was quite a way off the tops as well, so had to adjust and pulled it into the treble 5, and now Cross 144 finds the first, treble 18, finds their second. And Rob Cross just taking a step back. Double 18 is the target. Double 18 is found. Great opening finish there by Rob Cross. It leads 1-0.
It turns out that Chris Dobey was right to try and go for tops on a 131 checkout. He didn't get it. And then another big finish from Rob right there. And that is his quintessential finish, isn't it? Because it's all about the 18s. He is as much about the treble 18 as Dennis Priestley was in 1991.
Yeah, no, it's his MO, isn't it? But very well executed. As you're saying, might have felt like a bit of a break. Obviously, Doby getting that 180 in there. He felt like he was in the driving seat slightly, but it was a hole for Cross in the end.
The atmosphere in Nottingham has just come down a level. Everybody taking a collective deep breath after that 10-leg blast that we had at the start from the world's number 1 and 2 respectively. Doby 270 here, staying on the 20s even though he's blocked it twice. Has to stay up there. Well, he might switch because Cross is on 402. Well, that was a lazy last start. He was still moving when he threw it. He didn't ground himself.
Yeah, sometimes you find it with players, don't you, that if they're in two minds about what they need to do, then actually the execution of the throw is just not very well done, and it wasn't there for Doby. Now on 226.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we get a couple of tired players tonight, because these guys have been in numerous venues over the last week without going home. straight to Brighton last week. That would have been on the Wednesday for these players. Straight to Belgium, then straight to Leicester, then to Nottingham. That's in the last 7 days.
Yeah, and by that recognition, you can understand why some of them have opted not to play at the next challenge at the PDC Pro Tour, and it's double 8 required for Chris Dobey.
It doesn't take up the 92. This is the double 16 and the double 8, but he's still smiling because Cross is way back on 284. Not for long. Might max it. Does. Brilliantly. Last start was penetrating. Leaves 104, and Doby knows he can't miss 16 points now. Very well done, Chris. Because you imagine if Doby misses that, Cross is thinking, you've left me on 104, which means I'm going to go for that treble 18 again. You don't want to do that. It's 1-1.
No, absolutely not. You just don't want to give anyone, you can't afford to give any of these players any real chance or opportunity, and it was well taken in the end by Chris Dobey. He's back in the treble 20 bed. The lie of that first start looked almost perfect, but actually caused a deflection with the third, and only 85 scored.
And thanks to everybody tuning in on the talkSPORT Darts YouTube channel tonight. We appreciate your company. Give us a subscribe, chuck us a like, and send us a comment. Just enjoy the darts and get involved, because everybody loves the darts at the minute. This is the darts season. Well, it actually happens 12 months a year, but this is the better part of the season where everything starts to boil up. We want to know who's going to be in contention going into Cardiff for the top 4 spots and who could be cut adrift even more.
Yeah, it's starting to really take shape the table. Chris Dobey here on 320, just trying to chase down Cross on 265, and that's the first 2 of the treble bed. Just to settle for 140, but just edges him in front of Rob Cross.
180 for Doby. This is where you don't want to get a max, but he's not at the hockey right now. Cross is on 265.
95.
Nice even 519s with a treble and 2 singles to leave a guaranteed look at 170. Could it be another week where we get a 170 finish? I would not be surprised. Over to you, Bobby.
I think it's been every week bar one that we've had a big fish, and it's Cross with the opportunity here. Can't find the first treble 20, so switches down to treble 19, sets it up lovely, but Doby with a real opportunity to break as he sat on 80.
This is to take the lead by 2 legs to 1. He's got a small 20, has to elevate towards the top. That's a nice second dart in the big 20. Now for tops from the other side of the hockey. 3 different angles, 3 darts, perfectly done, and it's a 2-1 lead for Doby, hitting tops with the last one in the left-hand third. So he takes the lead after going 1-0 down on that 144 from Cross.
Yeah, really good there from Chris Dobey. He's 2 from 4 on the outer ring. Rob Cross, just the one chance at a double that came in the very first leg where he took out the 144. He's chasing down Chris Dobey, who's found a breaker throw, finds 137.
It's really easy to say that this is how you beat Rob Cross. You restrict his movement on the outer ring, but that's the case for everybody. But even more so for Rob, because that's his biggest strength. Numerous seasons have seen him have the biggest percentage of the year on the outer ring in the bullseye. We're talking about 44-45%. So if you can keep him away from doubles, you're doing yourself a lot of good. 264 Doby. He's on throw with a 2-1 lead. Cross on 271 will surely start on the 19s after this, and he'll have to after that 140 from Doby to leave 124.
Yeah, absolutely. I know it's very easy when we try and explain darts as Rob Cross finds treble 19, finds a second, snatching out a third, and does find a 171 to leave himself on 100, but will he have a chance? Doby's on 124.
To close the door and to keep him restricted. Single 20, treble 18 not found, just underneath, which leaves 86, and he doesn't want to go for the treble 18 again because it's blocked. He has to settle for a small 14 in a bullseye effort. So 72 left for the Geordie. Cross on 100 after that magical 171. He's got this treble 20 as well. Double top for Bobby. How good were those 5 darts, Laura? 171 and a ton in 2. It genuinely cannot be done better than that.
That was really well executed. 271 points in 6 darts, but also 2. That's a second ton plus checkout for Rob Cross. that 144 and the 100.
57.
It puts us back on an even kill once again.
The facial expression we've just seen from Rob Cross is one of, I'm not happy with my scoring just now or my consistency, but if I get shots at the outer ring, I'm going to take you out, so you've got to be really, really smart here. It's a decent game, same sort of standard that we saw from the first match, maybe not as explosive, but it's a sneaky good game. 103 average for Doby, and Rob Cross is getting very close to 100.
Yeah, I mean, if you recall when Chris Dobey was here a couple of years ago, the averages he was posting, they were all kind of around the ton plus, if not higher, but just couldn't find that win. And I just think that's the relentlessness of the Premier League when you're playing the best people in the world.
If one game has taught us something in Premier League darts over the last 20 years, is that any average isn't safe. 115 plus is the record losing average in Premier League darts. That was Phil Taylor against Raymond van Barneveld.
Yeah, Luke Littler won't far off it, 113 in his loss to Michael van Gerwen earlier on in the Premier League campaign. Rob Cross pins 2 treble 20, switches down perfectly to find treble 16. Leaves himself on 36.
So sharp right now, wasn't he? Doby's trying to meet him in the finishing zone with a max, and he does. Leaves himself on 67, but he's not going to come back, not with Cross on 36. The way he's going on the doubles, he's not going to miss. But he has missed the first dart. He doesn't miss the second one. That's a perfect kiss on that first barrel to give himself a 3-2 lead. Has he weathered the storm?
Perhaps, absolutely immaculate on the outer ring, as you're saying. Used that first dart brilliantly.
79.
Now I don't like to use the word pressure, but the onus is now back on Chris Dobey to try and keep himself in the match.
There's pressure from the audience because they want Chris to get back into this match. This audience want to have 11 leg thrillers all night long. But the biggest pressure will come from himself because he hasn't won a game since Belfast in week 1. And when he's lost the lead, averaging 103.5, he's thinking to himself, well, where am I going to get a win from? There's nowhere to hide in the Premier League. It's as simple as that. Because 1 week you've got Cross in the first game, 1 week you've got Littler, and you've got Humphries, all sorts of people that can cause you damage. And tonight, Cross is on it.
Yeah, it feels like he's kind of picked up where he left off in Brighton. Obviously, you mentioned that 9-darter that Cross hit, did go on to lose the match, but was the player that knocked out Luke Humphries in the opening round, who Luke Humphries also had the 9.
142 for Doby to join the ton plus finishing party. And he's not going to have a crack at it, the same way that Humphries did in the previous match. Bullseye with the second dart for Chris. I think it's a big 7 in a hunt for a treble 16 there. Leaves himself on 65, but Cross 147, surely not another one. Yes, not another one.
Yeah, just low, chasing around now, single 18 found, but does find treble 20 with the last dart of asking to leave himself on 50 if he returns, because Doby is looking at 65. Just inside, hits an 11, switches to 14, tops the target, just narrowly hits the wire.
I don't know about you, Laura, but I smell trouble for Chris here. Cross is looking lethal on his doubles. Now, how is his double 16? That single 18 was right in the middle. Double 16, bottom left corner, and even that is working as well. No matter where he goes in this game, that outer ring is at his mercy, and Rob Cross is 4-2 up.
And I think there's a time when you go back and looking at Rob Cross that normally on a 50 you go 14 to leave 36, but this is the kind of development of the player, because 16s at 32 is just a better number to leave because it breaks down naturally.
Couldn't agree more. That's why I used to do it when it worked. Doby likes 32, maybe not as much as Rob Cross does, but 4 out of 5 on the doubles. Visit perfect in this game. You don't have to be 100% to be 100%. I know it's a bit of an oxymoron, that, but he's missed 1 dart at a double, but that was in a visit where he had 3 darts to take it. So Doby is now all of a sudden not restricting Rob Cross's efforts. 125 there to lead 276. Cross is only a dart behind on 325.
Yeah, I agree. As long as you hit it with those 3 darts in hand, and you've got 2 in the treble for Rob Cross. It switches down to 19s, but 139 scored. Once again, all that pressure on Chris Dobey on 276.
It's almost a shame we haven't got a dart player in the Premier League this week called the Sheriff. It could have been the Sheriff of Nottingham tonight. Well, Dobey's like Robin Hood right there. He's just at a max to leave 96. I get the feeling he's going to need that, Laura, because if Rob is going to pulverise this 186, which he has, with a 150 shot, 2 treble 20s and treble 10 till he's 36. Doby misses 96, he's in the tin.
Yeah, and the first one just above the treble 20. Cross going for double. Goes outside the double 19, and as you just mentioned there, Paul, 36 required. He has been lethal on his doubles.
Yeah, Doby's been caught with his hand in the biscuit tin, and now Cross slams it shut. It's 5-2. The scoring has been excellent from Rob Cross here. He's averaging over 104, but his doubling is sublime.
And you could argue with Rob Cross, you could see that disappointment just in the first few legs because he wasn't scoring as well, but finishing kept him in it, and now he's ploughing in those big scores as he finds 38.
We weren't lying when we said this game could be really good statistically. They're both averaging about 103. This is a very normal game for the Premier League this year, and people have got the audacity to say that the standard isn't going up. Of course it is. Rob Cross is going up a notch this year, winning titles, and it's only the 13th of March. He's got 2 in the bag. Tonight he's looking hot.
Yeah, you could argue previously that perhaps Rob Cross, over the last couple of years hasn't actually won as much as he probably should have, but he seems to be making amends for it this year, and he just seems really, really focused. These last couple of weeks, he's looked very good.
He's decided to take a break from the Pro Tour early next week, which I think is inspired. Spend some time with the kids, with the wife, and just reset the brain. He's only 230 points away from winning this quarter-final against Doby.
58.
Doby can only leave 192. 230 for Cross. He's gone into overdrive over the last few legs. He's going to leave 170, is he? He isn't. He's going to leave something easier. 130 for the match when he comes back.
Yeah, that last visit from Chris Dobey leaves him, as you mentioned, on 192, and he's desperately trying to find a treble. Finds a treble 18, last start of asking.
I've already seen a 100 checkout from Cross in this match. That's what Doby's left. But Cross, 130. Can he find this treble 20 with a blocker from the right-hand side of the hockey? He can't. One of those rare misses in this contest. And Doby, to stay alive, needs to hold right here to start a charge. 100 turns into tops. Must hit it with the last dart, and can't. So that might be curtains. And Cross has got his hand on the curtain rod to pull everything closed. One small 20, one big 16 for a delicious looking 36, which he hits once again. Lethal, to say the least, on the outer ring tonight. Rob Cross, what a performance. Arguably better than Littler winning against Humphries. Chris Dobey did not play poorly. Let us just reiterate that one, Laura. But how good was Rob Cross tonight?
Yeah, he was just relentless, wasn't he? Like I say, struggled a little bit with the scoring just in the first opening couple of legs, but wow, did he make up for it. And almost perfection on the outer ring. In terms of visits, he was absolutely perfect on the outer ring. Just didn't let Doby have another chance, and yeah, it's Cross that goes forward.
I was just speaking to his people in the VIP area from the stage, and he uttered the word rubbish. He's got the audacity to say that 100 plus average, and if we're going to be exact, it's 100.9, and he's 6 out of 7 on the doubles. What more do you want? You've beaten one of the top 10 players in the world by 6 legs to 2, and you should be thrilled with that, ahead of a game with Luke Littler in the semi-finals. It's another blank for Chris Dobey, unfortunately for him. He'll be hoping that Newcastle don't draw a blank on Sunday against Liverpool, but he will go to Cardiff trying to stop the rot. As for us, we're going to take a bit of a break after this game. But first, when it comes to the Darts Premier League, the last thing you want is an online mishap throwing you off your game. Threat Protection Pro helps you dodge bogus sites, and with the Dark Web Monitor, you'll get a heads up if your personal info starts circulating in the online equivalent of the madhouse. Go to nordvpn.com/dartsvpn and get 2 years plus 4 months free and a birthday deal. It's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. So, stick with us on the talkSPORT Darts YouTube channel. We've got another game coming up for you now. And Stephen Bunting looking for his first Premier League win tonight of 2025 up against someone that he beat in the last few hours. He did beat Price this week. Can he do it again? Stay here.